We oftentimes talk about peacekeepers and peacemakers. The military are oftentimes the peacekeepers, but it is the peacemakers like Anne that go bravely in harm's way to pave the road to peace, to create a vision of hope, of peace, of a better world among people that may not even have the resources or tools to understand how to build peace. The State Department, Anne, as a diplomat, was a Rotarian in every sense of the way. She was living a life of service above self, bringing peace through service, and a peacemaker in every sense of the word. She will long be remembered for what she has contributed, and as we know, peacemakers are not just about going in and bringing peace and leaving, it's about sustainable peace. And her spirit will live on forever, so we have a sustainable peace that she's brought to all of us, and the opportunity to bring that peace so that no longer will we need to send our sons and daughters, husbands and wives, and others off to war, that we can build sustainable peace through service. Thank you.
Thank you, Pat. I have just a few brief comments I'd like to make. First off, I'd like you to know that I never did meet Anne Smedinghoff. But I know from what I've read and what I've heard since early April that she was a dynamic, focused, incredible young lady with an incredible future. And she was energetic, she was disciplined. She was not a Rotarian. She didn't wear a Rotary pin, but she would have been a Rotarian. She was a Rotarian at heart. And I became involved in this scenario just a couple of days before Anne's death, because we had been involved, you'll hear more about this in just a moment, the Texas Rotarians had been involved in correspondence with Anne. She was interested in starting a Rotary Club in Kabul, and we were doing what we could to help her, and we were just getting started on that endeavor. I had last received an email from Anne on April the 5th, which was a Friday. On April the 7th, which was Sunday, I received this email from my Assistant District Governor, Jim Moore, who you'll hear from in just a minute. That email, when I got up and opened my computer on Sunday, I had an email from Jim, and I got a lot of it from Jim, and I assumed this would be another Rotary-related email. That email said that young woman who wanted to start a Rotary Club in Afghanistan was killed in a roadside bomb. She was delivering school books to children. Exclamation point, exclamation point, exclamation point. I had never met Anne Smedinghoff. I stared at my computer and I cried. I wasn't sure why I was crying, because I had never met Anne Smedinghoff. But then I realized that she was a Rotarian. And it affected me in a way that was a little strange for me. I am sure that some of you in this room were affected the same way. We all have a common desire to do good for people who were less fortunate than us. And that is the reason that 20-some-odd Rotarians from Texas made this trip to Oak Park to honor her today. We appreciate the opportunity she gave us to do that. Again, I never met Anne Smedinghoff, but I sure wish I had. Thank you.
Had the opportunity to visit with Anne's mother, father, and sister today. It is a difficult time to come and be at a presentation like this, but you know what? This is a celebration of a life. It's a celebration of a life of a young woman whose legacy will live for a long time, long beyond all of us, because of the work that she did. How did South Texas come to be involved with Anne? the Loretto Daybreak Rotary Club got involved in working with folks in Iraq and Afghanistan through a member of ours who had been head of the Border Patrol along the Mexican border, a fellow by the name of Carlos Carrillo. When Carlos retired, he became a private security, had a private security detail working with and through the State Department in Iraq and Afghanistan. And he contacted us and said there's a real need for school supplies in the schools here. They just do not have any. Would our club be interested in participating? And absolutely, we said yes. And so the first set of boxes, 25, maybe 30 boxes of supplies we shipped out. They were received and they were distributed by Carlos. Later, he contacted us and said, would you like to do it again? And by this time, we had involved the Brownsville Sunrise Club. And I'd like for Andy Hager to stand. I've lost him. Andy's right back here. Club. And when they heard about the project, his club asked him, we'd be a part of your project. And I said, of course. So that allowed us to do a much bigger project, and this time it was going to Kabul, Afghanistan. And when we shipped everything to Carlos, he sent back to us and said, I have to hold everything in my apartment because it's just too hot here. It's too hot because the Taliban has made it clear that they will kill not only the recipients, the teachers, but all the children. And so Carlos held off. And for about 9 months, we kept getting emails from him. And by this time, the ambassador was involved and had heard about our project and wanted to have an action, be involved with the project. And that's when Ann got involved because she was assigned, and she worked with Carlos Carrillo. Carlos was our member who is still there. In fact, I received an email from him just last night. Was asking him about what he would like to say, because he had worked with Ann so closely. And finally, he sent me an email and said, it's done. We were able to distribute the supplies. We found an orphanage that was willing to accept them, and he was able to deliver them with Ann. They were able to deliver them. But shortly after I got that email, I got an email from Ann, and she was interested in how to start a Rotary Club in Kabul, Afghanistan. There was the beginning of a club there, and as it's not hard for us to believe, it was a club of men and women. But if you can imagine men and women coming together in any effort in Afghanistan, it is absolutely a surprise. And Ann was involved because she saw what Rotary could do and what Rotary had done, and her interest in humanitarian efforts around the world. And she sent me an email, and we were exchanging emails about what could she do to help create a Rotary Club. And I contacted JD, and we began the process of working. We are not going to leave this undone. Andy and I were talking just before the meeting. We've got to pursue this because for no reason other than Ann's legacy, and make sure that what she was working with continues, and it continues through Rotary. And we're proud to be here. That's why we as and you know, it's really surprising. I got up the morning that the news came out. I was sitting at my computer and the information was on the internet, and I said, I recognize that name. That is not good. That does not make me happy. And I sat there and I cried because, and I had never met him. I had never talked to her, only over the internet. And it has been surprising to me how someone who I've never met, life has touched mine. And she has touched my life and made me a better Rotarian. And as JD talked about it, and our district is the southern tip of Texas, 200 miles basically of an inverted triangle, and how we have people from all over that district who have come to be here to celebrate Ann's life and Ann's commitment to humanitarian efforts around the world. One of the things that Carlos told me was she was a real student of languages. Tom, you and I talked about this a few minutes ago. And he said that she was about to begin a very extensive, intensive program of learning Arabic because her next assignment was going to be in Algeria. And Carlos says, you know, her Spanish was perfect. Her Spanish was excellent. And she truly was. And everything that she got involved, everything she touched. But if you worked with Ann, you needed to be prepared because she had expectations of hard work and knowledge of everyone that worked with her. And we're proud of that. And through that opportunity, we have had the opportunity to recognize her in her memory by presenting a Paul Harris Fellow to her parents in her memory. And if the family would come up, we'd like to do that. Paul Harris was the founder of Rotary, 1905, right here in Chicago. And the Paul Harris, the foundation was created to honor the works of Paul Harris, and the money that goes into a Paul Harris Fellow continues the work of humanitarian efforts. And we'd like to present to you this certificate in Ann's name. A medallion like I wear around my neck, and a pin on my lapel, recognizing her as a Paul Harris Fellow. And we are proud to have been part of your family, and but she's part of our family, and will always be part of our family. And as everybody said, she's a Rotarian, and will always be a Rotarian. Thank you. Thank you so much.